When I first listened to Krishnamurti, I was at first a little skeptical because I didn't really want to listen to some guru or some spiritual leader, because I never believed in, or I was an atheist, like a very staunch atheist before. Like, as a very young child, I believed in God for a while. Like, I believed in Santa Claus for a while. I don't mean this in any disrespectful way, but like, as I watched the way that our church, our Catholic church, worked and operated, I just saw it as, basically, I saw it like restrictive, like my mother was being restrictive on my life. So I didn't really want any part of added restriction. So hence my, and my father was a very staunch atheist, so it was very easy to follow his rationale, really, because he was a scientist and he wanted evidence, so he was not going to believe in something that he couldn't prove. So if Jiddu Krishnamurti would have spoken about spiritual stuff like trust the universe or believe in yourself or anything like that, that would have been the same lines to me as religion. When I started to, well, as soon as I understood Krishnamurti, I can't remember the name of the guy that was doing the interview, but it was basically he was a scholar of Christian literature, so he knew like enormous amounts of quotes, and I watched a conversation between him and Krishnamurti, and then I realized that even though Krishnamurti did not want to be compared to Jesus, but the interviewer realized or understood that Krishnamurti and Jesus were saying the same. So he kept answering Krishnamurti with quotes from Jesus, supposedly. And he's like, oh, something, the light, blah, blah, blah. So it sounded very similar to what Krishnamurti was saying, just paraphrased. So I, as a young child, already came up with the theory that obviously all religions are talking about the same, but there's just a misunderstanding. Because I grew up in a household where my father spoke German, my mother spoke English, I was very accustomed to misunderstandings. So I thought that they're all talking about the same anyway. It doesn't matter which religion you believe in, because if there's a God, it's all going to be the same. That was like a 6-year-old me or whatever. Now, if you ask me, to me it's pretty obvious that Krishnamurti is talking about the same as Jesus was talking about, the same as Buddha was talking about. And these are all different approaches to talk about the same. The underlying universal truth to your life. And everybody's taken an attempt to try and make you understand. Krishnamurti very, very commonly speaks very, very harshly about religion, and not really, like he not being religious. Being religious is what he's talking about. So being religious means being holy, becoming one with, as soon as you become one, you're one with the world as well. So if I'm one, if I'm whole, if there's nothing but love, then obviously that's going to go out to everybody. Like, it's easy to love. Children do it. Children just go out and they go like, oh, I like you, do you want to be my new friend? That's what it's like. So Krishnamurti hated the organized religion, because organized religion was, rules, oppression, authoritarian, and it's actually keeping people restricted in their own mind. And he wants people to be free, and you can't be free if you follow rules. So it's about you becoming independent, you becoming all one, whole. And you can't become whole if you've got somebody telling you how to be whole. You need to find it in yourself. You need to accept yourself for who you are. The main reason why I wanted to do this video, actually, it's more to mediate in case you are religious, if you Christian or Muslim or Hindu or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter what religion it's. If you have a belief that you're afraid to, how should I say, tarnish by listening to Krishnamurti or by questioning your mind or, trying to find your own personal freedom of mind. And if you're like slightly hesitant because you've had a long culture, religion, traditions that you've been living with all your life, I always argue, the first thing that I always argue, if God made you smart enough to question them, then he can't be angry at you for questioning because he made you that smart. That was my childhood method of being able to question God. But the second thing is that I feel rather sure that we are lucky to have Krishnamurti where it's coming straight from the source. When you look at the Bible was written not by Jesus. So this is not Jesus telling us how to free our mind. It's people telling us about someone that tried to free our mind. So that being removed already it's like Chinese whispers. That's how I see it. So, like in Buddhism, there's rules and guidelines, how you should live, and the monks, but we don't know if this is literally, this was their attempt of doing it. And Krishnamurti is telling us that, every prophet, they all talk to every single human being. So not just the chosen ones, not just the very few. And Krishnamurti is telling us that the only way we can be free is when we free ourselves from all ideas, all beliefs, and we trust ourselves. And if what Krishnamurti is saying has the same end goal, so heaven, nirvana, it's the same approach. So there's nothing wrong with trying to there's nothing wrong with trusting yourself above God or what you believe is God. And once you completely trust yourself and you completely free your mind, you'll understand the parallels, and you'll understand, so whatever religion you believe in, you'll understand what they were actually trying to say when they're talking about heaven or nirvana. So it's not a contradiction. Krishnamurti, he never said that the religions are sort of talking about the same, because he wanted distance from it, because as far as he was concerned, it didn't work. It didn't really work. And that's why he doesn't want to be in any way connected to them. He doesn't say there's any link. But I strongly, I can see there's definitely a link. It's an obvious link. So the most, it makes sense that these people found enlightenment, and then they're trying to tell other people how to find enlightenment. And then it got misunderstood over the years. So I don't think it's in any way goes against your religion, and there's nothing wrong with questioning your belief. There's nothing wrong, it's only, you're doing it in your mind. So I know if you believe in God, he'll know what you're doing. But whatever, it's only an exercise you're doing in your mind. So there's no damage, there's no change, so it's only, you need to give it up to be able to have insight into what life is like, unrestricted. And as soon as you have insight, then everything's all good. So I know that Krishnamurti doesn't want to be connected with them, but that's because he didn't want to end up being Jesus. So I don't think he would have minded being hung on a cross. But he didn't want to be misunderstood as a holy, holy with Holy. That's where the word comes from anyway. Holy, home. He didn't want to be seen as a sacred, son of God. He didn't want to be something holier than thou, because it's very important that you see him as a friend, you see him as a peer, you see him as someone that's telling you something very important about your life right now. And all you need to do is look at it in your own life, like not memorize what he's saying, but actually look at your own life and go, is thinking really the root cause of all my problems? And then when you go into it, you can find the truth to your life yourself. And this is what Krishnamurti is saying. He says, you don't need religion, you don't need anything, all you need is you, yourself. And you are the only person that knows what's wrong, you're the only person that knows what you're running from. So you're the only person that can stop running from them by facing them. And yeah. So thank you very much for listening. And accepting yourself for who you actually are. It's not that, it's not grandiose, but it's not that big of a deal. And you can truly, truly love yourself. And anybody else as well, because then loving is very easy. So thank you very much for listening. And one love.